Rain poured down hard that night, painting the city streets in glimmering reflections of neon lights and broken dreams. Inside the dimly lit Ridgeway Grand Hotel, a young waitress named Emily Carter was wiping tables long after closing. Her hands trembled from exhaustion, her shoes were soaked, and her eyes carried the weight of 1,000 sleepless nights. She had been working double shifts for weeks, saving every cent to pay her sick mother's hospital bills. Her life had become a cycle of serving others while silently praying for a miracle she no longer believed would come. That's when the door swung open. A man stumbled in, expensive suit drenched, his tie loose, his eyes glassy and distant. He looked like someone who had everything, yet nothing at all. The staff whispered in shock, recognizing him instantly. "That's Alexander Reed," one of the bellboys muttered. "The billionaire who owns half the city." Emily didn't care who he was. What she saw wasn't a billionaire, it was a broken man. He collapsed near the reception desk, mumbling something about losing everything that mattered. While everyone else froze, Emily ran to him, grabbed his arm gently, and said, "Sir, you need to rest. Let me help you." Chapter 1, The Night That Changed Everything. Emily half-carried Alexander to his penthouse suite. Inside, the air reeked of whiskey and regret. Broken glass lay scattered on the marble floor, and a framed photo of a woman and a little boy lay face down near the couch. She carefully placed a blanket over him and whispered softly, "You'll be okay. Whatever it is, you'll get through this." Alexander's eyes flickered open briefly. "Why would you care?" he slurred. Emily paused. "Because no one cared when I needed help. I know how that feels." That night, she didn't leave until she made sure he was safe. She washed the dishes, threw away the empty bottles, and even left a note by his bed. Greater than, "You don't know me, but you're not alone. Everyone falls. Just don't stay down. Emily. Chapter 2, A Stranger's Kindness. The next morning, Emily returned to her shift like nothing happened. She couldn't afford to think about him, her focus was survival. Her mother's condition was worsening, and the hospital had given her 1 week to pay the remaining balance. Alexander, however, couldn't forget. When he woke up, he found the note beside his bed. The handwriting was simple, the message honest. It pierced through the fog of his guilt. He was a man who had lost his wife and child in a car accident, an accident he blamed himself for. He had drowned his grief in alcohol, isolating himself from everyone. But that night, a waitress, someone who owed him nothing, had treated him with humanity he thought no longer existed. For the first time in years, Alexander wanted to find someone. Chapter 3, A Week of Silence. Days passed. Emily continued her work quietly, unaware that her life was about to change. Her manager often yelled at her, customers mocked her for her torn shoes, and every night she cried herself to sleep beside her mother's hospital bed. But she never lost her kindness. One night, when the hotel was bustling with a grand charity event, Emily was serving drinks when she saw him again, clean-shaven, sober, wearing a sharp suit. Alexander Reed. He looked at her with recognition and quiet gratitude. "You," he said softly, stopping her as she turned to leave. "You helped me." She smiled awkwardly. "Just doing my job, sir." But he shook his head. "No, you saved me." Chapter 4, The Offer. After the event, Alexander asked to speak with her privately. He listened to her story, the hospital bills, the long shifts, the dreams she'd buried long ago. When she finished, she looked embarrassed. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "Don't be," he interrupted gently. "You remind me of the person I used to be before I forgot what mattered." Then came the words that would change her life. "Emily, I want you to run this hotel." She laughed in disbelief. "Sir, I'm just a waitress. I don't even have a degree." "No," he said, smiling for the first time in years, "you have something far rarer, heart." Chapter 5, The Test. Emily refused at first, thinking it was pity. But Alexander insisted she shadow him for a week. During that time, she learned everything, from management to budgeting, from leadership to compassion. Her natural empathy transformed the way the staff worked. For the first time, the hotel felt human again. Alexander saw in her what he had lost: purpose. When the week ended, Emily prepared to return to her waitress uniform. Instead, Alexander handed her an envelope. Inside was a deed to the Ridgeway Grand Hotel. Emily gasped, shaking her head. "No, I can't accept this." "You already have," Alexander said softly. "You gave me my life back. Now it's my turn." Chapter 6, The Transformation. Under Emily's care, the hotel became more than just a business, it became a haven. She hired struggling single mothers, gave shelter to staff during storms, and turned empty suites into rooms for charity stays. Alexander, now her silent partner, watched proudly as the woman who once cleaned tables now stood before investors and inspired hundreds. But when Emily's mother passed away peacefully months later, Emily nearly broke. Alexander found her in the garden, crying silently under the same rain that had brought them together. He placed his coat around her shoulders. "You gave your mother everything you could," he said gently. "Now it's time to live for yourself." Through tears, she whispered, "Why are you always there when I fall apart?" He smiled faintly. "Because once, you were there when I did." Chapter 7, The Full Circle. Years later, Ridgeway Grand became a symbol of second chances. Emily often told new employees her favorite saying, "Greater than, no act of kindness is ever small, it can rewrite a life." Alexander eventually retired and quietly transferred all his remaining shares to her. At the next charity gala, Emily stood on stage, looking out at the crowd. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "I was once a waitress serving tables in this very hall. I didn't have money, or status, or hope. But one act of kindness, one choice to help someone without expecting anything, changed everything." She looked over to Alexander sitting proudly in the front row. Sometimes the person you help today might be the one who changes your tomorrow. The audience rose to their feet, applauding, tears in their eyes. And as the lights faded, Emily looked up toward the ceiling where rain tapped gently against the glass dome.